All right. Now, this email really bothered me, and I need to warn the viewers. The language in the email is offensive, but I think we need to kind of look at it. Again, if having these conversations means looking at the ugly warts, here it is. So I'll let you have at it, Jennifer.
Yeah, so it said, I just cut off the interview you were on with Dr. Drew. It's instigators like you and Jackson and Sharpton that causes ignorant, lazy, in capital letters, blacks, to have such difficult lives. Being involved in public education for decades, I know, in capital letters, what your race has done and caused to bring it down, in capital letters, to the bottom. Even those of you in administration are often more of the problems than those feral students. If it was not, in capital letters, for affirmative action, the most of you would be cleaning toilets and back in our cotton fields where whites were safe and without fear of being killed by your people.
And
that's the tame portion of
Right. The network has asked me to stop there. If you can believe it, it gets worse.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Not funny in a ha-ha kind of way, but I think when I first read it, I was sad. I have learned, because I was first called the N-word when I was in 7th grade, and so I think for any African American that has lived in America, being the target, if you will, of racial slurs and all kinds of thought and ideology about blacks, that's kind of par for the course or part of the territory. With this letter in particular, though, because I know that the conversation that we were having on Tuesday evening was so rich and it was so good, I really took this to be, honestly, a wake-up call that there does need to continually be this kind of dialogue. You know, I put the entire letter in my Facebook family, and dozens and dozens and dozens of people weighed in, and I'm telling you, it is still very much a hot button topic in a conversation.
And Spirit, I want to hear from you too. And let me just say, maybe, you know, I'm hearing a lot from the sort of the intermediate group who's saying that by having these conversations, you're inflaming passions. And I heard someone talking the other day, and it was actually a feminist, I believe. It was two feminists talking, and they were talking about women's issues and the overlap with some of the African-American black issues. And this one woman said, you know, the white woman said to the African-American woman, what do you see when you look in the mirror? And the white woman said, well, I see a woman. And the black woman said, well, I see a black woman. Right. You tend to see that first. Why? Why does it have to be that way? Well, you know, and is it guys like write those letters that make it that way?
Right. No, it's not. We all prioritize who we see when we look in the mirror based upon our life experiences. Some people might look at themselves by their race first. Others might look at themselves by their gender first. Others might look at themselves by their nationality first. Where you prioritize is totally based on your life experiences. And, you know, when I hear that letter that was written to Jennifer, you know, part of me goes, wow, how horrible is that? Right. But then there's that other piece that says, you know what? That tells me that she struck a nerve, that got the conversation happening, because those dozens and dozens and dozens of people who weighed in that are all too often silent at this conversation. You heard me say this on Tuesday. Until we get real, until we hash out emotions, until we hash out frustrations, and until everyone is invited to this conversation, even the voices that we don't necessarily want to hear, will never get anywhere.